Why her dating and husband standards don't matter as much as you think they do. All right, so I want you to listen to Nia Long tell this story about meeting Prince.
Prince passed away. Everybody knows the news. But when I was reading, tell me about meeting him for the first time. So at 18 years old, he asked you out?
18 years old. I don't know how I ended up in Roxbury Club.
18 years old, and Prince asked you out.
But 18, I'm sure I had a fake ID at that time because you did need to be 21. I was walking by and someone like grabbed my hand and I turned around and I'm like, it's Prince.
On the street?
No, we were in Roxbury, the club, the nightclub. Remember the
night at the Roxbury.
The Saturday Night Live sketch.
Yeah.
What was he
Are
wearing?
you in the VIP section? You're great looking, I bet you were.
No, I'm like a regular girl in the club who had just started working, kind of had a couple of things under my belt, but
18 years old. She herself, she says she's just a regular girl. And Prince walks up to her.
I'm like a young girl. And he grabs my hand and I turn and I'm like, holy, I can't say the word.
No.
Holy gamoly. Smoke. Holy smokes, it's Prince. And he says to me, hey, how are you? And I'm like, I couldn't speak. I was just like speechless. And he says, do you want to have a drink with me? And I'm like, but you're Prince. And I just couldn't do it. I felt like this guy is way out of my league. And then he showed up again at my 21st birthday and I had done a couple movies. So I was like, hi, Prince.
He shows up.
Prince asks you out at 18, you blow him off, and he magically shows up at your 21st birthday party trying to ask you out again. Now imagine what that would do for your standards for a guy when you have Prince asking you out as an 18-year-old. So your baseline standard is he has to at least be Prince, right? Or at least on Prince's level, right? So that is a reality that for most men just simply can't comprehend. We can't comprehend that. But I don't want to talk about Prince so much as I want to kind of talk about her dating history and kind of where that kind of led her, right? So this is Nia Long. This shows her. She's 51 years old, and she has 2 children. And it's amazing that this is a site called Who's Dated Who. That people are tracking this stuff. This is amazing. We're living in 2022 here. So the baseline standard after she meets Prince is her first guy she dates seriously is Chris Rock. Now imagine that. Your first serious boyfriend is Chris Rock. Yee. And then Kendall Isaacs, I should know who he is, but I don't. Then Chris Webber, who was, he was probably a top 10 NBA player at this time, top 15 NBA player. And then Peter A. Thomas, and then Shamar Moore, who's borderline model actor. And then Masai Dorsey, I don't know who he is. I think he might be a singer, actor, I'm not sure. And then Mick Jagger, and then there's 50 Cent and T.I., and you have Dwight Freeney, an NFL football player after 2 rappers, and you have Contino Mobley, who is another NBA player, and then Kevin Phillips, and then Ime Udoka from 2009, right? And so if you look at this list, international comedian, NBA player, well-known actor, internationally known rock star, 2 internationally known rappers, a second NFL star, 3 NBA players, right? And that leads us to Ime Udoka, who's the one who asked her to marry him, and they were currently engaged until the last things happened. Now I want to also show you Halle Berry, 56, and she has the 3 kids, and look at where, like, her baseline, right? So the first guy she dates is 50 Cent, and then she dates Heavy D, so the second rapper, and then she dates Brad Pitt, and then I'm not sure if I know these, Danny Woods, Kevin Costner's rumor, dates Wesley Snipes, she dates Eddie Murphy, Christopher Williams, and then she married David Justice, which was actually a really big deal in the 90s, and then Shamar Moore, and then Eric Benet, who she married, and then she dates Billy Bob Thornton, and then it says rumor for Fred Durst. And then you kind of see the progression of just the caliber of men, right? And so when I talk about the reason why her standards don't matter, is simply this. There is no man on the planet that you could put all together, all these men together, and get the perfect guy. This guy doesn't exist. There's no muscular Brad Pitt. There is no 50 Cent that can play football. There's no Kevin Costner that has the body of, I don't know, Dwight Freeney, right? So you look at the caliber of guys on this list, and none of these guys were good enough to get married to and be settled down with, right? There's no Shamar Moore with the body of Chris Webber and as muscular as Dwight Freeney who can sing songs like Mick Jagger. That person doesn't exist, right? And so when I talk about how standards, how what she wants doesn't matter, what I'm really alluding to is the fact that the standards can be off kilter. When we saw it in the first video, you have Nia Long as an 18-year-old talking about how Prince comes up to her. And so from the time she's 18 to the rest of her life, Prince is not, you have to be at least Prince, right? Now, I want to move this over to Nia Long talking about marriage and how she's not a fan of marriage. So this is an Essence article from 2022, which is about 2 years previous to her recent incident. And she says here, love is complicated. Let's just start there. And then you start a marriage, which I've never been married. And there's a reason for that, because I don't know that I need to say I do to prove that I love you. But also, what does marriage really mean? That you own me, and I own you? I don't get that part, okay? And then she continues, I understand the religious aspect of marriage. That is beautiful, and it's fantastical, and it's dreamy, and it's every girl's fantasy to have that moment. But I don't know that I need to feel like I'm in a partnership that's working, right? Okay, so this is her basically saying she doesn't really understand the real need for marriage, right? And I want to tie this back to we saw the Tia Mowry filing for divorce from her husband. And one of the things we do know, especially in our community, the Black community, is that we pay a lot of attention to celebrity news, and it kind of is a driver for how people function in their relationships. But there's a commonality between Tia Mowry. There's Tia Mowry here. There's a Nia Long here, and there's Halle Berry who's here, right? What's the commonality between these three women? Halle Berry, Nia Long, and Tia Mowry. What is the commonality? And the commonality is that they're all millionaires. They're all rich. They can afford life without a partner. And so, and you see it in popular news, how I don't need a man and all that stuff. Look, if you're making $100,000 a year, you're probably in a territory where you probably financially don't need one. $75,000, okay, you're probably fine. But if you're talking about somewhere in between, anywhere close to the average, right? 40 to 55,000. If you want to have any kind of life that's anything similar to what you're seeing on television, that's just not going to be possible for the average person to begin with, but certainly for a lot of women who might not be working in STEM fields or in fields that are going to advance their salaries moving forward. And so in this is the current dating landscape in America. This is the marriage landscape in America. You're seeing lower than ever 5 out of 1,000 people being married in America in 2020. This is what the dating landscape, the marriage landscape is. Tia Mowry, she's a millionaire. Nia Long, she's a millionaire. Who else? Halle Berry, she's a millionaire. They're marrying for emotional reasons, right? But before, 50 some odd years ago, people were getting married for survival reasons. And we're seeing with this current economic downturn that it's going to go one way or the other. It's going to either go back to we need to get married again, or I'm going to do whatever I have to do to survive. And just like most markets have gone international, from media production and the music you're listening to television production, to international food brands on your local shelves. The market has become international, and that includes the marriage market. And for a lot of guys get men that are getting their passports and look at the marriage market and say, you know what? Why don't I just go overseas and look for someone who might just want a husband? They want someone that's making 55, 60,000, who has prospects for making more in the future. And I'm going to be a helpmeet for him. And that's enough for me. So if the market says that in America you have people who want the body of Dwight Freeney and the looks of Shamar Moore and the comedic appeal of Chris Rock all wrapped up into one guy, and he has to make $160,000 a year. If you're the guy who's making, 55, 60,000, you could say, you know what? Let me just go look around a little bit and see what's out there. And what you're finding, for what a lot of men are finding, is that when they go overseas, they're finding people who aren't trying to get Shamar Moore in Dwight Freeney's body. They're not trying to get Chris Rock in the body of Brad Pitt. They're just trying to get a guy that's going to help them live a more comfortable life. And that's the market. And so when I tell you that the standards she wants, why they don't really matter, is simple. The financial landscape is going to dictate the market. And that's the way it always has been. And it might be an unfortunate reality for a generation or a few generations of American women, because they might not find mates. But for the group of passport brothers that are out there looking around, what a lot of guys are understanding, and you can see it in the pictures, that shopping around, there are some better deals out there. And those better deals are kind of catching fire around the around the SYSBM landscape. And so I'm going to wrap this video up by saying, for the gentlemen out there that are getting frustrated, or you're thinking that this is the best, or why am I gum on the bottom of everyone's shoe? This is the market in America. And so the reason why the market is this way is because the expectations are: make 100,000, be 6 feet tall, look like Shamar Moore, or I don't know, whatever actor, look like them, have the body shape of an NFL football player, and only date me. And so as time progresses, that's going to have to change, because people are going to need more provisioning for men. But what a lot of guys are understanding is that I'm just a regular guy, go overseas, and all of a sudden I have more appeal. It is a buyer's market. You can see from the from this graph. It's a buyer's market, gentlemen. Take a look around and don't settle, as you would hear anyone else say to the young women. Don't settle. Take a look around and explore your options and see what your value actually is. So with that, guys, I want to thank you guys for watching this video. Please like, subscribe. Feel free to comment below, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.